I've got one more example of a third-party candidate who beat the odds and changed the political landscape for the better. Picture this third-party candidate in your mind. I'm thinking of a candidate who was tremendously popular with a small but dedicated cadre of voters. The pundits all said they could never get elected. The candidate had better ideas than their opponent, but the rich and powerful shunned the candidate nevertheless. The candidate faced overwhelming obstacles to success, an opponent with much more money and a sophisticated party machine at their disposal, and the candidate was refused the opportunity to even debate the conventional candidate. Sounds like a typical third-party candidate, right? Well, patriots, meet Christine O'Donnell. I don't know if some of you saw that coming. But if you are sympathetic to Christine's cause, then you are on the road to identifying with the difficulties that quality alternative candidates face. Did I try and trick you? I don't think so. Christine was abandoned by her own party and left for dead. But she kept fighting for the principles, for the ideas which she believed in. Sounds like a third-party candidate to me. I wish she was a libertarian. We would love to have her in our party, even if the Republicans aren't too happy with her. Of grassroots political movements, Gandhi once said, "First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win." He might have been talking about Christine. He might have been talking about you all. He might have been talking about us. And you know, there's another reason to consider voting for an alternative party candidate over the conventional candidate. Let's take the example of a legislative contest. You pick the contest. State or federal, House or Senate, it doesn't matter. The conventional candidate answers to the party apparatus. One lone Republican or one lone Democrat in a sea of more senior Republicans and Democrats. The new guy is expected to follow the lead of the party elders, do the party's bidding, do what he is told. The alternative candidate answers only to the voters and to his conscience. The alternative party representative has no majority leader or minority leader or majority or minority whip or anyone else standing between him and his constituents. Your interests might just be better represented by a third-party candidate whose only allegiance is to you rather than to the more conventional candidate who answers to the machine. And what's that you say? You don't think the party machine has that much influence? Do you recognize this man? Not many of you do. I'll give you a hint. This is what he said. She's not a viable candidate for any office in the state of Delaware. She could not be elected to dog catcher. His name is Tom Ross, and he's the chairman of the Delaware State Republican Party. You've seen firsthand what the power of entrenched party interests can do. Do you think their influence ends once the election is over? Okay, so why should you vote for me for Recorder of Deeds? That's what I'm supposed to be talking about tonight. That's a good question, and I have a bit of an unconventional answer. I have two opponents in the race. My Democratic opponent is the incumbent, and I have not met her, but I have no reason to believe that she is not a fine person. I can cite no glaring errors in her conduct of the office. On the other hand, the position is not an appointment for life, so incumbency should not entitle her to any special consideration in your decision. I have met my Republican opponent. We cross paths at many of the venues and political events that candidates attend while running for office. I've seen him occasionally at these 9/12 meetings. I don't think he's here tonight. I will. He seems to be a capable, decent guy, motivated as I am by all the things I mentioned earlier. I don't know that I'm any better qualified than either of my opponents, but I'm certainly at least as well qualified as either of them. So why me? I believe in libertarian principles, and I believe that there has never been a time in this nation's history where those principles have been more important than they are today. But libertarians are at a significant electoral disadvantage in this country simply by virtue of America's long tradition of two-party politics. I believe that without the tradition, libertarians would prevail today in many more political contests on the merits of our ideas. But many voters have never heard of a libertarian. All they know is Democrats and Republicans. Even among voters who are attracted to libertarian principles, there are two major reasons why libertarians don't get more votes than they do, and I've already mentioned them. Number one, people don't think libertarians can win. And number two, if the libertarian doesn't win, voters think they may have helped elect the guy they least want to see in office. How do we overcome those disadvantages? I believe we overcome them by taking baby steps. Voters need to see as many names on the ballot followed by the Libertarian Party ID as we can muster. This will reinforce the impression that libertarians are a serious and credible force in Delaware politics. The Recorder of Deeds position represents another one of those baby steps. Election for the Recorder of Deeds is among the least likely to be subject to the aforementioned perceptions about electability and the consequences of defeat. And here's why. Pop quiz. Why is the Recorder of Deeds a partisan elected office? Does anybody know? I'll tell you. I have absolutely no idea either. Does anyone believe that a Democrat would run the office of Recorder of Deeds in an ideologically different manner from the way a Republican would run it? Would a libertarian's ideology dictate any different policies in the Recorder's office than, say, the ideology of the Democrat or the Republican? I'm thinking your answer to both questions is no. So how do most people decide who to vote for in the Recorder of Deeds race? Well, if they're Republican, they vote for the Republican. If they're a Democrat, they vote for the Democrat. And if the other candidate wins, they don't lose too much sleep over it, because it really doesn't matter and they don't really care that much. Now, I believe that many voters, if not most of them, are fed up with politics as usual. I guess that includes you. They believe both parties have made a hash out of the policies. There has never been an election where voters were more receptive to the idea of a third-party candidate than this one. Their attitude towards the Democrats and the Republicans is pops on both of your houses. My candidacy offers those voters a low-risk place to register their protests. If I win, great. They've sent a message to members of their party, stop the stupidity. If I lose, who cares? It's the Recorder of Deeds, for crying out loud. Does this sound like a lunatic's approach to running for office? Maybe so, but I don't think so. I think it makes perfect sense. If I win, I represent one small baby step on the path to demonstrating the electability of a libertarian candidate. And if I lose, well, I won't lose 1 minute's sleep because it doesn't really matter that much. My campaign slogan practically suggests itself. Vote for Jess McVay for Kent County Recorder of Deeds. What have you got to lose? I bet you can count on one hand the number of times you've heard a politician say that. So in conclusion, I would like to encourage you to consider qualified libertarians in the upcoming general election. Now, I know better than to ask this crowd to vote for Jim Rash for U.S. Senate. I'm not that bold, but Jim is a principled guy, and he is on our side. I will tell you that I wish Christine O'Donnell all the success in the world. Thank you, Christine, for driving a stake through the heart of an out-of-touch career politician. Metaphorically speaking. If my guy doesn't win, I'd love to see Christine become the next senator from the state of Delaware. My guy is Jim Rash. I do hope you will consider a vote for Brent Wongan for the U.S. House of Representatives as the most principled vote you can cast this November. And while you're at it, remember the name McVay. You'll get 3 chances to elect one or more of us to represent you. Whether it's my son Will for 32nd District, my wife Mary Pat for Kent County Recorder of Deeds, or Levy Clark at large. I'm falling apart here at the end. or me, Jess McVay from Kent County Recorder of Deeds, I promise you that vote for us will not be a wasted vote. Thank you. I do well. Probably available during the break. To all of our alternative party candidates who are here tonight. Thank you.
We have a guest here tonight, Quincy Lucas.